So there's a couple of us up here on stage that were Republicans. And now we talk about why you shouldn't vote for most Republicans. And I think that's a pretty nonpartisan thing to do. Because you shouldn't pick a team. I agree, where you feel like you have to then be on their side for everything. That's stupid. That's brain dead. But you do have to decide that there are a bunch of ideas that you stand for, that there are values that you stand for, that there are things that really matter. And then you should defend those things. And I remember being like in high school and or college, you know, and teachers would sort of pose the question to you, well, what would you have done during the Holocaust? Or what would you have done during the Civil Rights Movement? And I've always liked to think that in a time of moral crisis, I would understand how to choose between right and wrong, that I would be able to see it clearly. And I feel like there has been a lot of people on the right through Donald Trump's tenure that have done whatever they can to obfuscate, to brush away, to downplay the noxious, toxic, soul destroying force that Donald Trump poses. And I want to fight that. Yes, what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue to fight that all through. I'm going to continue to fight what Trump's doing. I'm not going to fight what he says. I'm going to fight what he does. But I am going to continue to fight it. And so I became a conservative and liked libertarians and read Reason magazine and have lots of friends that have gone through Reason all these years because I was on America's side. Like, I wasn't really on a partisan side. I thought Republicans were better at liking America and defending, because everybody kept mailing me those pocket constitutions. I thought, surely these are the guys who want to defend the Constitution. But then I watched an entire political movement that said it was committed to ideas lie down for this guy and forfeit their intellectual credibility and not stand up at the moment that it mattered. And I will never stop condemning people for that. And so I choose America's side. That's the side I'm on. And I think you should be too.
I want to show you guys a few brilliant clips from a debate that Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller did in Washington, D.C. last week, where they essentially confront an entire room of Republicans and call out these Republicans for creating the permission structure, for bending the knee whenever Donald Trump does something. So that first clip was Sarah Longwell describing the moral values, the guiding principles that she has stuck by from day one, and how she's seen the Republican Party slowly drift away from those values. Back in 2016, when the Access Hollywood tapes were released, a lot of Republicans behind the scenes were chattering, were saying this dude is sort of vile. Trump was even pressed about those Access Hollywood tapes back in 2016, but now that's nothing. Now they sweep that under the rug, and that's happened time and time again. When Trump denigrated John McCain, I know Republicans at the time thought that was bad. I know Republicans hated that at the time, but 8 years later, that's the norm. When Donald Trump said the election was stolen, we know for a fact. Ben Shapiro, the day after, January 6th, said that was the worst thing to happen since 9/11. 4 years later, Ben Shapiro thinks January 6th was a nothing burger, or at least he's pretending to. So Sarah Longwell is perfectly calling out the tribalism that has gotten us to where we are today. People's refusal to call out their own party, and they toe the line when it serves their interest. I want to show you another clip of Tim Miller making a really good point, saying that if back in 2014, if he showed people images of January 6th, they would not believe what they were seeing. Check this out.
If we flew back, if we got a little DeLorean and flew back to 2014 and we all came here before Shaw had totally gentrified and we met together at a bar and I said, Nick, I have this photo of you. I have this photo for you. And it was a photo of people, of Trump flags over the Capitol building, smoke above over the Capitol building, cops being just like this attacked by people waving American flags, the blue line or Confederate flags. I showed you a series of photos and I was like, this will happen in 5 years from now. If we elect Donald Trump, you would have looked at me like I was an insane person. You would have looked at me and been like, no way. And then I'll say, get this, it'll happen. And then he'll run again and you won't pick a side.
No. Why
you
don't
would have been
you,
like, Tim, no way. No way that could possibly happen.
So you're definitely reaching the plurality of American voters who voted for him and said, hey, you know what, Tim,
I'm not trying to convince everybody. I'm just trying to tell you what happened, man. I'm just trying to tell you what happened. This is what happened.
Okay, so we are about halfway through this segment, and it has been dominated by talk of Donald Trump.
That is a perfect example that Tim Miller gave, and the Republican on stage doesn't even have to answer for it at all. He's able to slip out of it, but it's also like if you told people 10 years ago that the party of family values would be blindly supporting somebody who was divorced twice, who has cheated on multiple wives, also who runs defense for Matt Gaetz, who actually slept with a 17-year-old girl. I mean, I've been saying this for the past few days. It turns out that QAnon was right about basically everything. QAnon was right that certain politicians are using their power and wealth to cover up other sex scandals, but it's all happening on the Republican side. QAnon wasn't right about all the pizza shop stuff, but they were absolutely right that politicians are using their power to cover this stuff up. So again, Sarah Longwell is pointing out this slow erosion of unspoken norms that Republicans have enabled every single step of the way. Because when you don't have any guiding principles, things that you really care about, like the Constitution or civil rights, or liberals care about freedom of religion, the freedom to love who you want. We have fundamental axioms that we stick to. When you abandon that, then you don't really have anything. When Donald Trump can say that he wants to terminate the Constitution because the election was stolen, and the Republicans on stage, at least like the MAGA Republicans over here on the left, they'll run defense for that because they don't actually care about the Constitution. They only care about towing the party line. And I really do like the example that Sarah Longwell gave of being in college and being asked, what would you do during a time of moral crisis? What would you do when you know the stakes are high and that history is watching? And now we have an answer. We know that half of the country would genuinely just run defense for Donald Trump no matter what. So again, it's not about one individual or one political party. Sarah Longwell is basically saying that our choices define us. The values that we stand for during these times define us, and a lot of people are being exposed as spineless. For example, norms in a democracy only work when both sides agree to abide by them. There are unwritten rules that hold the system together, and when one side is just constantly subverting these rules every step of the way, and the other side is still playing by those norms, then the side that's still playing the game is foolish. For example, do you guys remember when Mitch McConnell, back in 2016, blocked Merrick Garland from becoming a Supreme Court justice? Mitch McConnell said, Obama can't appoint a Supreme Court justice with 1 year left. You can't do that. But then when Donald Trump had 3 months to shove through a Supreme Court justice after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, then Democrats just let it happen. This hypocrisy didn't just expose the Republicans for not caring about the norms. It also kind of forced Democrats to confront whether they should play by the rules or whether they should stoop as low as Republicans. And every single day since 2016, we've still tried to take the high road. And I understand why, but again, if Mitch McConnell is just going to block our Supreme Court justices, not play by the rules, have no moral guiding principles, then at some point Democrats are going to have to fight back with fire. So it was satisfying to see Sarah Longwell call out a room of Republicans when she herself is a Republican or was once a strong Republican. And again, that Mitch McConnell example is perfect. If Mitch McConnell actually had guiding principles, actually cared about the Constitution or America, then he would have let Obama get a Supreme Court pick in 2016. But he didn't because he doesn't care. And I don't think Sarah Longwell is saying that Democrats should stoop to that level. We shouldn't hold a January 6th, but at some point, we have to stick up for what we stand for without allowing Donald Trump to control the narrative, to constantly be the one breaking these norms. I'll leave it at that. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Love you guys. See you in the next video. Peace.